Hi Gummies, how are you doing today? As you notice, I have another guest with me today, and she is going to talk to us about her walk-in clinic that she is, well actually you've already opened.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about yourself.
So my name is Taylor Burge. I'm a nurse practitioner, and I was born and raised in Delaware. We moved to Georgia for a little while, but basically we've been here. I went to Delaware State University.
Okay, awesome.
And I ended up getting my master's at Wilmington University. So I'm a Delaware kind of a girl.
Yeah, okay, awesome. So what inspired you to open up a walk-in clinic?
The people. So we know when you go to the emergency room, you spend a lot of time, you spend a lot of money.
Yes.
And we wanted to give people an alternative. And especially when you can't get in with your primary care provider, we like you to come over here. We can do most things like sutures or stitches. We can do, if you break your arm, you break your leg, we can reset it for you. Anything, you get a fever, you have strep throat, flu, those sorts of things, we can take care of it so you don't have to sit there for a long time. And then you don't have to wait until forever to get an appointment, because you can come on the weekends and the evenings.
Okay. And I also noticed that you have mobile, where someone can schedule an appointment mobilely, or I'm trying to remember, right? Or to call ahead or something like that,
Yes.
right? Okay.
So you can go onto our website. It's www.wilmington1st.com, so wilmingtonfirst.com, and you can schedule your appointment for primary care or urgent care, and it comes directly to us, and we put you right on into our system, or you can walk in without an appointment. Some people like to know that they have an appointment so they can be seen right at that time.
Right. They don't have to wait.
They don't have to wait. And then once you become a patient of ours, we have a patient portal. So you can go onto the patient portal and register yourself, fill out any forms that you need to fill out, or you can request like your medication refills and those sorts of things too.
Oh,
so
that's
just
good.
things that you have at your convenient.
Yes.
And we made sure that we had more technology. So we have a kiosk where you can check yourself in.
Oh, okay.
We have, like we said, the patient portal. So if you lose your lab slip, because Lord knows you always do, we can just send it to you straight through your email, and then you don't have to come in and you're not calling and things like that. It's really convenient.
Oh, that's perfect. So exactly where are you located here?
So we're at 4001 Miller Road, Suite 1 in Wilmington, Delaware. And sometimes it's difficult for people to find us, so we tell people we're right across from the Home Depot on Miller Road.
Yes. Okay. Yes. When I first came, I had on my GPS, and I was like, well, let me slow down because it's a lot of business buildings over here. So you're right. If you're not paying attention, you will drive right past it.
Right past it.
So make sure you're paying attention when you're driving. How has your past experience prepared you for this business?
So I worked at Christiana, and I worked at Westside, and I worked over at another urgent care. And so I always paid attention to how the business was run and things that I saw, and I was like, why wouldn't we do it this way? So of course I'm thinking in my head, we can make some changes here. But when you're working for someone, you don't get to make changes and things like that. So at Christiana, though, they do have committees where you can, so I was on one of the committees for our unit where you can try to make changes and things like that. So we really made some nice changes as far as teamwork and things like that. So the experiences I had, like where I worked, really helped to really just build me to where I am now. Because it made me more comfortable with seeing patients. Like at Westside, you see your patients by yourself. A lot of times people think of nurse practitioners, you work for the doctor. At Westside, you work for yourself. And you work directly with your patient. You don't ask, can you do this for? No, you do things on your own. So it helps you to be very independent and very autonomous whenever you're going to go see your patients. So it really helped to make sure that now we're in our own clinic. And we know what to do. And we know how to do it. Without anything, no hesitation or anything.
So you were basically getting your Tyler Perry on. You created your own table.
Yes, that is exactly it. Yes, because our biggest thing was you see people just not getting better, or you see things and you're like, man, we probably could make a change. But seeing it when you work for someone else, you have to follow their rule and you have to go their way. But we want to try to do some radical things here.
Okay.
That might get us in trouble, but we're going to try to do some radical things.
But you're going to try to make some changes, yes.
Some big changes.
Yes.
The biggest change is that we want to make sure that our patients are healthy. Mm-hmm. We want to make sure that we love to see you, right? But if you can take care of yourself, then our job is a lot easier. Mm-hmm. And then we know when you come to us, okay, we've tried all the things we've already thought of. Now it's time for us to go a little further. We need to do some digging, kind of like House.
Right.
Yeah, we need to get our house on.
Yeah. I love that show.
That show is so good. I can't believe they canceled it. Can you believe that? Oh, that show is so good.
But I love to watch that show. Yeah, definitely.
Look, I'm like, what's wrong with them?
Right.
I think this is wrong.
Trying to grab my own time. I think it's just ammonia. I think they fine.
That's it. And then sometimes when they come up with a normal explanation, I'm like, that was not it.
So not where I was going. Yeah, definitely. So you say we. So you have a partner. Tell us a little about your partner.
So her name's Inwita Dubal, and we work together at Westside.
Okay.
For some time. And she is very smart. She's very patient. Mm-hmm. She is everything. She is just when you come in, she's like, "Hello, how are you? What's going on?" Very soft, just very soothing. Mm-hmm. And so it was just a natural fit for us. We really bond well. I'm a planner down to the beat, and she's like, "Oh, her favorite thing is Taylor. It will be fine.
It will be fine."
Yeah, she's Nigerian, so she goes, "Taylor, it will be fine." And I'm like, "It'll be fine."
So it's a perfect balance.
A perfect balance.
Yeah.
Perfect balance. So I'll plan everything, and she's like, "No, we don't need to do any of that." And I go, "Okay." And most of the time, she is absolutely right. To just go with the flow and let that go. So that was the biggest lesson I learned with opening the businesses. Just go with the flow.
Some planning doesn't hurt, but at the same time, go with the flow. Yeah. What type of services do you offer? Do you offer any mental health services as well?
So not right now. Mm-hmm. As far as the mental health services, we are in the works of bringing someone, because the way the insurances work, you kind of have to build it. Mm-hmm. But we have a young woman who wants to come here for behavioral health. Okay. And so that is definitely on our list of things to do very shortly. So we are allowing people to come for, it's called Suboxone. It helps you to wean yourself off of drugs and things like that. So we're offering that service additionally, which a lot of urgent cares kind of don't delve into. Okay. But our thing is really about the community. We labeled ourselves as an urgent care walk-in primary care clinic because we wanted to remove all barriers with people being able to come and see us. Okay. So however we have to go and participate with your insurance, that's what we did. So we have the Suboxone treatments, which we basically want to incorporate the behavioral health as well, so that way people get a well-rounded experience, and we really can try to help people. Okay. But we have the primary care, which is basically the same as when you go to your regular doctor, or if you need to see a specialist, those sorts of things, we can refer you where you need to go. But the walk-in clinic portion is any acute thing. So acute is anything that's like just happened. So even if you have you woke up, now your back is killing you, you can't get up and walk, that kind of thing, you can come here for strep throat, flu, UTIs, STDs, issues with your prostate if you're a male, anything really. Okay. The only thing we don't do is OB care, as far as I need an ultrasound because I'm 20 weeks pregnant. That's the one thing we don't do. Okay. But if you're pregnant and you're sick, come on in. Okay.
So when you're trying to determine if you should go to the ER versus a walk-in clinic, what are some things you should consider?
So I like to tell people, if something scares you, that's probably not good for a walk-in clinic. Okay. So people will come with chest pain. A lot of times chest pain is not related to your heart, but what we do at the urgent care is we have the EKG machine, and we have the medications, and we have different ways to figure out what's going on with you. But if you're having like the worst pain you've ever had in your life in your chest, and you're like, I have no idea what's going on, you're short of breath, go to the emergency room.
Okay.
If you have stroke symptoms, so if your arms or your legs are weak or they're numb and you can't move them, and it's not just from leaning on it or something, then you want to go to the emergency room because you want a CAT scan of your head to make sure everything is okay. If you break a bone, you can come here. But if the bone is sticking out, you go to the emergency room.
Okay. Because you need a little bit more.
Yes. So dizziness is a common complaint of folks who come to the emergency room or to the urgent care. So dizziness in itself doesn't mean you need to go to the hospital. But if you have dizziness where you can't walk straight, that's always an emergency room kind of a thing. But if you're dizzy, when I turn my head too fast, I'm dizzy. Or if I get up too fast, I'm dizzy. We can kind of help you figure out what's going on and where you need to go.
Okay.
So what I do tell people is if you're close and you don't know what to do, come here. We can call the ambulance for you. We can take you or put you where you need to be.
Okay.
That's kind of what our motto is just to make sure that you're taken care of. So a lot of people don't. It's a fine line between the ER and like a walk-in clinic, and even going to your primary care. So I always tell people, if you because a lot of people don't want to incur the bill at the emergency room. So I say just come on in, and if I have to call the ambulance, I can. And we have we have IV fluids, we have nitroglycerin, which you will get when you go to the emergency room. We have different medications that can restart your heart if something happens. Okay. So we are a fully operating place. So we're not, kind of, no, we can't take care of that. We're going to have to send you away. No. I worked at the Christiana in their emergency observation unit and things like that. So we know how to take care of things. I worked in the hospital at Christiana for 6 years, and sometimes the patients, they don't do well, so you have to bring them back.
So you'll be able to take care of them until it's determined if something more serious. Okay.
Oh yeah, and if your heart stops right out front, we're gonna bring you inside, and we're gonna fix you up. Right. That's good. I worked over at the heart unit for a while, and we held the patients who were actively having heart attacks, waiting for procedures and things. And so you just go, okay.
We got you.
Okay.
Get you together. Yes. Get you right together.
That's not what it sounds like, by the way. It's not what it sounds like.
That's the bump in my gums version. That's the bump in my gums version.
That's it. So from now on, when I shock someone, I'm gonna make that noise
right there.
I'm gonna make the noise.
So as you were preparing to open up the clinic, what were some of the things what was the process of opening the clinic?
So that was a 2-year process for us. It took us a year of actually hard work out in the streets trying to find a place. So basically what you have to do is you have to find a place. First, you have to be authorized to practice independently because I'm a nurse practitioner. And so we went through that process.
Now, did that process include additional training that you had to do, additional certifications? What was that process like?
So in the state of Delaware, to become authorized to do independent practice, you have to apply to the state.
Okay.
And there's requirements, like you have to be a nurse practitioner for 2 years, and you do work under a physician for 2 years with what they call a collaborative agreement.
Okay.
And after the collaborative agreement for 2 years, you can petition the state to become a independent nurse practitioner.
Okay.
And so I've been doing this for almost 7 years. So around year 3, I went and petitioned and said, hey, I want to be independent. Yeah. So we went through that, and there's no additional training. The only requirement is that you've been working. It's full-time hours for 2 years. That's what they found the threshold to be for people who were safe to practice on their own. So to open the clinic, we went through finding a space, finding the perfect location was not easy for us because we knew we wanted to be in North Wilmington.
Okay.
And there are not a lot of spaces in North Wilmington that are made for a facility like ours.
Okay.
So this was actually the first place I was like, man, there was a place there before, and I think we should go there. And a year later, we circled back to it, and it's like, oh, okay, we should.
It was available, so it was meant to be, right?
That is exactly what it's supposed to be. And then once you get your space, you have to get credentialed with insurance companies and everything, which is about a 3 to 6 month process for each insurance. But we actually have a credentialer who did it for us, and we worked with her closely. So that way we made sure everything was completely perfect and set, because we do not want to turn away any patients because of insurance.
Right.
And so we made sure all of that was completely set before we opened. And then after the credentialing and you build out your space, order all your materials in for everything you want to do, make sure that you have all your certifications and your business licenses and everything else. Yeah. And then some magic happens, and voila! And then it's here.
Wow.
After 2 years.
Wow. So the whole total process took you guys 2 years. Wow.
It did. Wow. But the first year was concepts. We worked full time for someone else, so we're trying to build ourselves to make sure that we have, enough resources to fund the building and the business, and then also to take care of our home lives, because we both have 2 children at home. So and little husbands. Yeah. We can't forget them. Yes. Oh my heavens. If you're watching, I'm sorry. I love you. So we wanted to make sure that everything was set. Got to the build out and everything, and everything worked out really well. It turned out
very nice. Very nice. Yep. I will include some pictures so Gummies can see the facility.
Yes, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears went into making sure that this space was exactly how we envisioned it. We want people to come in and feel comfortable, at peace, and know like we have everything we need to take care of you, and we're going to take care of you as best as we can without taking you a long time. And we want to listen to people, because that's what we feel a lot of healthcare facilities are missing.
Rush and out and out and out.
Right. So our thing is, now we're not going to keep you for an hour here talking or anything, but we are going to sit and say, okay, well, what's really going on? How long did this work? Because most times we're, working off of a checklist. Oh, they don't have this, they don't have that. It's okay. Right. But sometimes the person is really saying, like, I have a horrible home life. I'm really, run down from that. That's why I'm fatigued. Right. Instead of me saying, okay, go take some vitamin B or vitamin D, go on about your day. Right. Well, let's talk about this and figure this out. So we want to look at people, not only your physical, but your mental, spiritual. That's where we kind of want to show our difference.
Okay. Like holistic.
Very holistic.
Right. Yeah. Okay. That's awesome. So, and that was going to be one of my questions. What makes this facility different from other facilities? But it seems like you're creating, have the homey feel of a personal relationship, like you have a primary care physician, but it's just in a walk-in model, so that, like you said, if you don't have an appointment and you're feeling ill, you still have the opportunity to walk in, but you can also make an appointment to say, okay, as a follow-up, or since I'm comfortable with you, I've met with you, I would like to also talk to you about this issue as well.
Yes, that's what we want to do. And there are time limitations when you're trying to get, all of your patients seen and things like that. So that's why for walk-in clinics, you don't get to sit for a long period of time and talk to your provider. But our goal is, like you said, to create a primary care feeling while you're at the urgent care, because you want to know that you're heard as well, because if I hear you, I can address your problem. Right. If I block out half of what you said, you're like, well, I didn't say that I was this way or that way, and they just wouldn't listen. And a lot of us happen to have that experience when we leave our provider, and that's not what we want. We want you to come in and be heard.
Right. And I think sometimes that is the disconnect, because also trying to get the information out of the patient. You know, I know I've had my own personal situation where my doctor was like, oh, you're borderline diabetic, we're going to try to treat you this way. And then I was having another issue and I went to a specialist and all he could see was diabetic. And I was like, well, no, you keep saying that. My doctor said that I'm borderline. Well, it's the same thing. I was like, is it? I've never been to medical school, but is it?
I feel like there's a pre there.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
Exactly.
But yes, and even like for diabetes, mostly when you come to the urgent care, you come for diabetes, we're going to check your blood sugar, we're going to send you home. But what we want to do here is say, okay, yeah, I have diabetes. Let's talk about this very specific thing. I like to say, if there's only one thing that you can leave me with, is just don't do this one thing. Because giving you a whole huge picture when you go to the provider's office is never going to work.
Okay.
Because you're going to forget everything. And then you're like, what did this and what did that? And then you feel overwhelmed. And then when you feel overwhelmed, you feel a little ignorant to what they were trying to tell you. And you're like, and you're too afraid to ask the questions. Whereas we're like, okay, there's this one take home. The next time I see you, I'll give you something else.
Right.
And I like to say to people, okay, you may not feel comfortable telling me this time, but hopefully the next time I see you, you'll be able to tell me what is going on.
Right.
And so, like, that's our biggest thing. I always feel like diabetes and high blood pressure, if we can treat those two things, then we're okay. So I like our model, because even we'll send people for blood work at the walk-in clinics. You don't get sent for blood work mostly. That's not a thing. You have to go to your family doctor and that's it. But our thing is we want to be most things to all of our patients. If we can help you, that's really what we're all here for. And it's not easy to get a second opinion when you have your primary care provider and things like that. So you can come in here as an urgent care patient. And we can talk about whatever your problem is. That was your second opinion.
Right.
So now you don't have to go anywhere else. We gave you your second opinion, and you can kind of talk things out with your primary care, or you can stay with us and we can continue to see you.
So are you the first African-American owned walk-in clinic in the state of Delaware?
No, we actually are not. We are, to our knowledge, the first African-American woman-owned walk-in clinic in Delaware. But there's one nurse practitioner who owns a few clinics down in lower Delaware.
Okay.
But in the boundaries of the city of Wilmington, we're the only walk-in clinic. There are places up 202, on Silverside Road, those sorts of places, which sometimes are inaccessible to our folks in the inner city. And so that's what we're here for. Any person anywhere can come and we'll work it out to see you. But our biggest reach or desire for our reach is the people in the city of Wilmington.
Okay. And what if you don't have insurance?
You can still come here. So I'm glad you asked that. So for the patients who don't have insurance, we do a cash check, credit card, those sorts of things. No checks, no checks. But we do have set prices for different types of visits. So when you go to other urgent cares, they charge about $190, and that's what you'll pay for your visit. Whereas for us, when you come for a visit, it is $125.
Okay.
And then every service that you have, so when you have a flu test or a strep test, those things do cost extra, and that's the same as the other walk-in clinics, but we charge less for those too.
Okay.
So that way we can
trying to hopefully accommodate.
Yes, especially because we're in the inner city. And we want to make sure that people are seen, and especially coming from a public health background, we want to make sure that people are seen, and that's all.
Okay. With this upcoming election, it's a lot of talk about healthcare. How do you prepare, or how do you continue to keep yourself educated with the changes with the healthcare legislation?
So Beautiful and I are members of the Delaware Coalition of Nurse Practitioners, and they're really heavy into legislature in the state of Delaware, and they also work on a national level to make sure that nurse practitioners are heard and that people know that we're available to them. A lot of studies are done to check the care between nurse practitioners and physicians, and most studies find that we have better care when we go to nurse practitioners. So they made a push in the federal government, and that's why we're allowed to be independent.
Okay.
Because they found that physicians had a monopoly on...
Imagine that.
Had a monopoly on medical care. So you could only go where a physician told you to go. You could only, see who a physician told you to see.
Right.
And so now we have the same abilities as nurse practitioners, which is great. The only thing we don't do is surgery.
Okay.
But if you come and your arm is split wide, we can sew that thing right back up.
Get your skin closed up.
That's it.
Wrap you up, send you on your way.
Have a good day.
Right.
We'll see you when it's time to take it out.
Thank you for coming.
Yes. So also for the election, we have to worry about the so-called Obamacare.
Yes.
And have that that portion is really interesting. So Medicare for all would be good for hospitals and doctors' offices and those sorts of things. But it would be really good for the patients because everyone would have care. And so I'm waiting to see kind of how that goes. The other thing is if they remove Obamacare, we know that a lot of people will lose health care, or the costs will rise, and then people won't be able to go to their providers. Like now we have the high deductible plans. So people come and they basically have to pay full price for their visits anyway, even though they have insurance, which we don't think is fair.
Right.
So we stay abreast of what's going on by going through the different coalitions and associations and things, because we have to know what's going on, because a lot of things will affect us in the way that we see our patients, the way we treat our patients, even down to telemedicine. At some point you had to have a physical building, and then they changed where, no, you don't have to have a physical building. So we need to make sure that we're still in compliance with everything.
Right.
So that's what we do.
Oh yeah. Tell that's where people can do the video chat with you to diagnose you?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Do they still do that, or?
They do.
Okay.
They do. That's going to be like the new wave.
Okay.
Is to do telehealth. Because you don't see your provider. I don't really like that, because really it's impersonal to me. But also, I want to listen to your lungs.
Right.
I want to
look in that on video chat. Yeah.
So they do have some really cool models where you go into a pod.
Okay.
And you put the stethoscope on your chest, the places that the doctor tells you or the provider tells you.
Right.
And they can hear your heart through the actual pods. So I believe it was, it's owned by a woman who actually came up with this idea. So they have some cool things in there.
Okay. But I would think that because you wouldn't have the pod at home, you still have to go somewhere.
You have to still go out.
Right.
And you have to
so
go
I'm like,
to the pod.
In that situation, why wouldn't you just go see a real doctor in person instead of, But I guess, it depends. Maybe it's a rural area or something like that, maybe.
Yeah. Well, they're thinking of doing it for some of the clinics like in this area.
Okay.
Because people want the convenience. You just walk up to someone and then you're gone. You walk into someone, it's fast food medicine, basically. Yeah. When you come to a walk-in clinic, if there's 10 people before you, you have to wait.
Right.
Because it's really on a first come, first served basis. But if you're the first person at 8 o'clock, you're getting seen on time, you're getting on out of there. Right. And it's very, very convenient. I've used walk-in clinics for myself and for my children before because it's so convenient. You don't have to call the doctor's office and wait for an appointment. Well, we can't see you till Thursday, but it's Monday and the kids are sick. But most pediatricians will see your children the same day. And I recommend, if your pediatrician can't see you the same day, you may need to get a new pediatrician,
Right.
because that's very important, is that we always have space. And so we have space we see children all the way up to the most elderly.
Okay. Okay, so nowadays it seems like everyone is trying to be more healthy, trying to be healthier. So you have your green smoothie diets, you have the Whole30, you got fast metabolism, people are going vegan.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times people want to try to heal themselves naturally through foods. What are some of your recommendations or some of your cautions that people should consider when they're thinking about trying to heal through food?
So my recommendation is to go plant-based. And plant-based is no meat, no dairy.
Why did I?
I didn't even ask that question.
Oh, wow.
Sorry, guys.
I felt like, ooh.
Yes, a whole judgment. A whole judgment. There's a cardiologist out in California that instead of doing procedures on people, puts them onto plant-based diets, and it works. So a lot of disease and a lot of things that they won't tell you is that your diet is the reason why you're sick.
Wow.
So if you were to change your diet, you would feel much better. I challenge people, just eat no meat for a week, see how you feel. Then within after that week is done, eat meat again. See how you feel.
See the difference.
See how you feel. So my family and I went pescatarian, which is where you eat
thought
the
about
fish
doing that. Yeah,
and
I
all your
looked
vegetables.
into it.
I felt great.
Really?
I felt amazing. Yes. And then I got to planning a business
Right.
where I could not cook every day. And here we are.
Yeah.
Because you can't put fish in a crock pot.
Yeah, yeah.
So we eat like our lean chicken breast and those sorts of things. We try to go to stores that have organic meat or
like a
things
Whole
like
Foods,
that.
a Wegmans type of
My
place.
favorite is Lidl down in Middletown.
Lidl. I don't think I've heard of them.
It's Lidl. And now I'm telling all my secrets. So at Lidl, they have organic grapes. Most times they're $1.99 as long as they're in season for the organic grapes.
Oh wow,
Isn't that great?
Oh yeah.
So all of their produce is really fresh. It lasts for a week. You know, you go to the grocery store, you might buy something in 2 days.
Yeah.
But I like to go to Lidl because I like to get organic foods for my family and things. I like to go to wealthier neighborhoods to get my food because it appears to be higher quality.
Yeah.
And so those are
the produce section is a lot better too when you go to different neighborhoods. Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah.
And so that's what we want to talk to people about too. And that's what makes us a little different than the other places, is because we truly want you to be healthy. Really want you to be healthy from the inside out, everything else. Speaking of pre-diabetes, I had gestational diabetes when I was pregnant with my first and my second son. And when that happens, your blood sugar has to be really, really well controlled. And so I got to figure out how to cheat the system. So I talked to my diabetic patients, let me tell you, this is what you have to do, and it'll be just fine, you know? And it's really all just your diet. It's really all your diet. And so I hope to kind of bring people into the fold with getting that under control. And my one thing for diabetes, now you don't have to come see me because I'm about to give you all of my information, is high fructose corn syrup.
Yeah.
If you can cut that one thing out, your numbers will drop. So my number, so diabetic is 6.5. And pre-diabetic, depending on who you ask, is 5.7 up to 5.8 through 6. It just depends on who you're actually using. So after I had the baby, I was 6.1. And I cut out all high fructose corn syrup. And I went back and got my sugars checked. I was 5.7.
Wow.
And I hadn't made any other changes but to cut that one thing out. So it's definitely my first piece of advice for people who have pre-diabetes or diabetes in general. Just cut that out, and then you'll see you will have an improvement. Yeah.
Okay. Good tip. Thank you.
You're welcome. And you don't have to send me any money for that.
Completely free.
Completely free, because I want you to be healthy and get better.
Yes. So as well as some people are trying to heal with food, people are also going back old school with the grandmama and them used to do with different essential oils or different herbs and things of that nature. And when patients are doing that or using natural products and they come into the doctor's office and say, you know, what are you taking? Should they disclose some of the natural products that they're using as well to make sure that it does not conflict with medications?
Absolutely. There are some pretty strong interactions that can occur. So especially when you're on blood thinners, it's very important to let us know what you're doing and also what you're eating when you're on certain medications. Certain minerals like calcium and like iron, those sorts of things can affect the way that your medications are absorbed in your body.
Okay.
And they can block certain medications from being absorbed properly. And sometimes it binds to certain medications.
Wow.
And so you won't be able to use it, and then you don't get the benefit, and then you don't get better. So it's very important for us to know. And there are some like new herbs and things, and sometimes we don't even know what that thing is.
Right.
So what we do is we go, and there's different resources we can research to see what this actually is and how it would affect you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So keep that in mind. Visiting your doctor, you have to be full disclosure to make sure that everything is working together.
That's right. And it doesn't harm you at the end of the day.
So a question that I like to ask all of my guests, if money and time were limitless, what would you do?
I would have a hospital system. What I would do is I would try to make it where in the emergency room, you're seen very quickly. If you need to stay and get treated, then you can. I would want to see people responsible for their health, make you a true partner in your health, not I'm your provider and this is what I said.
Right.
But more so, this is my best advice that I have for you, and now you can do with it what you will. Because my thing is not to control my patients and tell them what to do.
Right.
I give you all the information that I have about a subject and say, now you can do whatever you'd like to do. Because we're all humans and we all have free will.
Right.
So I want to make sure that you know what you can, like what I know, and then you make your own decision. And I would have a hospital. And it would be geared towards the folks of the inner city.
Wow.
And how do we get you well as a whole city? Because people have tried to answer that question for a long time. So that is really the question I have for myself. How do I fix this whole picture? And the way that I feel we fix the whole picture is with the people who are in the photo.
Right.
So if I come to you and say, okay, what's your barrier to getting healthy? And maybe you and 20 other people have the same thing. Okay, well, let's all get together and figure this thing out together and see what we can do. Because I think that we're so used to you coming in for a problem, whereas I think we should get to the point where we're like, let's make sure we don't get to that space in the first place.
Okay. Awesome. And my last question, if someone were to ask about you in your clinic, what would you like them to say?
I really liked her. She was smart and she really listened to me.
Okay.
And I felt comfortable when I left. I just want people to feel good when they're here and better when they leave.
Okay.
I just want people to have a really good experience from the time that you walk in to the time that you walk out. We can't make all people happy, but we want to make sure that all people feel comfortable to come here. And a lot of people are afraid to go certain places to get health care, and we want to say, well, it's not as scary as you thought it could be.
Right.
Come on in. Come on
We
in.
got you.
Don't worry about it. It's okay. And if there is something scary, we'll walk through that with you too. We've had patients, I've had patients who have had cancer and different things, and we walk through the process with you. We're really just here for our patients to make sure that they're feeling all right.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Do you have any other final thoughts, tips, or anything that you want to share with the Gummies?
Hello there, Gummies. So we're Wilmington First Walk-In. Come on down. You don't need an appointment at all. You can come in at any time. We're open Monday through Sunday, and we'll be really happy to have you and to take care of you. And hopefully you'll feel comfortable enough to come and see what we can offer you.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to bump your gums with
Yes,
me.
I like to bump my gums.
Yes.
I am a gum bumper.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Like I said, I know it's kind of awkward when you get a message from someone you don't know, but I appreciate you for, saying yes.
Of course,
Yes.
of course. And if we can get the word out about being healthier and making sure that you're taken care of and spend time with a good friend,
Yes.
I don't see why not.
Yes,
But I want to thank you for asking us to come and talk and seeing the value in what we're doing.
Yes.
It's greatly appreciated.
Absolutely. When I saw, thank you so much, Gummies, for tuning in. Hopefully you will come by Wilmington, Miller Road, 4001.
Yes.
4001 Miller Road to visit the Walk-In Clinic. It's beautiful. Like I said, I'm going to take some pictures so you guys can see what you're in store for when you do drop by. And hopefully you will tune in and for the next episode. Have a great day on purpose. Thanks, guys. Thank you so much.